In section 5.2 of our text, we're talking about the probability distribution, calculating mean, variance, and standard deviation. In the textbook, they give some instruction there on how to use Excel to calculate each of these values, but I thought it would be helpful to supplement that with a video. So this is a set of data that I pulled out of our homework set out of section 5.2. And we're going to take this and we're going to calculate the mean, variance, and standard deviation off of this data. Okay? Let's start with the mean. We're going to take the product of our random variable. In this case, the random variable varies from 0 up to 9. And the probability of each outcome is given here in the second column. So we're going to have to take the product of each of these, random variable times its probability, and then add it all up, and that's going to give us the mean. Okay? So if we do that, we're going to do that with a formula. We can say equals the value in A2 times the value in B2. That would be the random variable times the probability. Hit enter on that, and of course it's 0 because the x variable is 0. But if we select that cell and then put our mouse over the bottom right hand corner, see how it turns to that smaller dark plus sign? Click, drag, and now you have the product of each random variable x times its probability all the way down. The mean is the sum of each of those products. So we can come down here, we can put a nice black line there to show that we're going to add all this up. And this cell will set to the sum of each one of those results, each one of those products, add it all together, and we get 0.517. Okay? So that's the mean. I'm going to type that in here just so that we remember what that is, and then slide that over to the right side so it's right up against 0.517. So we've calculated the mean for this probability distribution. Right? So there you go. That's the average outcome. Now notice what it's saying. It's saying the average outcome is going to be 0.5, which is somewhere between 0 and 1. Why would the average outcome be so low? Well, look at the probability of getting 0 as your outcome. That's a pretty high probability. All of these others are pretty low. So, most of the time you're going to get 0 as your outcome, as your random variable. Your random variable is going to be 0 most of the time. And then other times you'll get, anything from 1 through 9. The chances of getting a 9 are highly unusual. That's going to happen 2 out of every 1,000 times on average. So for this distribution, the average is 0.517. So we have this figured out. We have mu. And now if we work our way towards the standard deviation, we're going to have to take the square root of the variance. And to calculate the variance, we're going to have to take the product of each of our random variables x squared times its probability and add all that together. And then after we add it all up, we'll subtract the mean squared. All right? Here we go. We're going to have to take the square of our random variable. Okay, let me just put a nice heading on this. Let's say x squared. That's what we're going to have here. We might as well center it all. Click and drag from that bottom right hand corner. Sure enough, that squared everything. And then we're going to multiply that by the probability. Okay, so let's give that a heading so that we know what we're doing. X squared times p of x. That's what's going to go in this column. And so here, let's do that. Equals the value squared times its probability. So what we ended up with in D2 times the value in B2. Hit enter on that. Of course, it's boring because it's 0. But if we click and drag all the way down here, this is the result of each one of the random variable squared times the probability of that random variable. Okay, so what we've done so far in this column is we've taken the square of each random variable times its probability. Now variance says we need to add all that up, so we'll put that line here again. We'll say equals the sum of those x squared times p of x, and you get 2.187. That's the result of adding up each random variable squared times its probability. So we have this minus mu squared. Well, if this is the mean, let's take and write mean again, just labeling this stuff so that we know what it is. The mean squared, I'm going to equals this squared. I'm going to square it. So this is the square of the mean. What our variance tells us the equation is after you've added up x squared times p of x, which is 2.187, we need to subtract off mu squared, which is this right here. So here we go, equals that sum minus the square of the mean, and there we go, 1.91971. What is this? That's the variance. Okay, then how do we get the standard deviation? The way we get that is equals SQRT square root of the variance. We take the square root of the variance, we should get 1.38554, which rounds up to 1.4 if you're doing that on your homework. Okay, so that's just an example. You'll do this a few times with your homework in calculating the mean, where you take the product of x and p of x. Okay, I guess I can put a heading here, x times p of x. That's this right here. Add all that up, and that gives you the mean. So here you go. That's how it is that you calculate the mean, the variance, and the standard deviation. Okay, I hope that helps.